Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And, I also read meditation books over here, and today I'm going to read some meditations from Melody Beatty. I have both of her books out and opened, and I have it pulled up to the date. Language of Letting Go and The Journey to the Heart, two of my favorite meditation books of life. And I looked through them. I have not read the meditations yet. It's so funny. Boo Radley always comes up here when I am getting ready to film my Peterisms video. I don't know why. None of my other videos does he come around, but just on this channel, which is so funny. Because back in the day, Tucker did the same thing. And then if you guys remember, when Tucker was still around, at the end of my Peterisms videos, and I would say goodbye or whatever, Tucker would always bark at the end of the video. And so it's kind of funny to me that it's always on this channel. I don't know if it's maybe how I speak differently when I'm doing this channel or something, but it's crazy to me that Boo Radley always comes around on this channel. So anyway, I looked at the meditations, but I haven't read them fully yet, but I just looked at the titles. So I think I want to read from The Language of Letting Go first, because it is talking about self-doubt, which I think is always a good topic to talk about. And so it's Letting Go of Self-Doubt, May 28th, and this is from Codependent No More. A married woman who had recently joined Al-Anon called me one afternoon. She worked part-time as a registered nurse, had assumed all the responsibilities for raising her 2 children, and did all the household chores, including repairs and finances. I want to separate from my husband, she sobbed. I can't stand him and his abuse any longer. But tell me, please tell me, she said, do you think I can take care of myself? Not only is it okay to take care of ourselves, we can take good care of ourselves. Many of us, so confident about our ability to take care of others, doubt our inherent strength to care for ourselves. We may have come to believe from our past or present circumstances that we need to take care of others, and we need others to take care of us. This is the ultimate codependent belief. No matter where this self-defeating belief was born, we can release it and replace it with a better one, a healthier one, a more accurate one. We can take care of ourselves, whether we are in or out of a relationship. Everything we need will be provided. We will have loved ones, friends, and our higher power to help. Knowing that we can take care of ourselves doesn't mean we won't have feelings of fear, discomfort, doubt, anger, and fragility at times. It means we practice courageous vulnerability, as Colette Dowling called it in the Cinderella Complex. We may feel scared, but we do it anyway. Today, God help me know how I can take care of myself. And I wanted to read this part where she says this is the ultimate codependent belief. Many of us, so confident about our ability to take care of others, doubt our inherent strength to care for ourselves. We may have come to believe from our past or present circumstances that we need to take care of others and we need others to take care of us. And I think this is interesting because I went through this many, many times in my life, where I felt like, who am I if I don't have somebody in my life to take care of me? Or who am I if I don't have this person? Like, who am I if, I went through this when my mom passed away. It was like, who am I if I'm not my mom's son? Or, when Alex and I were having problems and we were talking about the possibility of divorce, I'm like, well, who am I if I'm not, Alex's husband and whatever? And I've shared this often on here, but one of the most powerful lessons that I've ever had in my entire life or ever learned was when we were going through therapy, marriage counseling, and it was at the very beginning, and I remember I was in an individual session with my counselor. I think it was an individual session with my counselor, and he said, because we would go together one week and then, together I think every week at the beginning, and then like every other week one of us would go individually, and he was saying to me, he was like, well, would you be okay if you and Alex divorced and split up? And I was like, no, I wouldn't be okay. I don't know how I would go on. And he said, you wouldn't be okay if you and Alex separated and went apart and you were by yourself? And at first, all I could think about, and it really took me back to all of my prior relationships that I had been in, romantic, friendship-wise, family, whatever, where I just could not separate the idea of depending and needing somebody so badly, or who was I if I wasn't in connection with that person. And so I kept on saying that, I said, no, I wouldn't be okay. And finally he said to me, so eventually you wouldn't be okay? You would never get to a point where you would move on and you would move through the pain and you would be okay? And I said, well, eventually I would be okay. And he said, so there would be a day when you would be okay and you would be on your own and you would make it past the pain of breaking up with Alex. And I said, oh yeah, sure, eventually I would be okay, but not right away. And he said, okay, So then what you realize is that you are not dependent on Alex. You don't need him. Because eventually down the road, what you're telling me is that you would be okay without him. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. And we kind of processed a little bit, you know, like me having gone through my breakup with my ex and my prior ex, where at each of those breakups, I thought, like, who am I if I'm not with that person? Like, I couldn't imagine, like, not being with that person, you know? And I think, like, the one thing that's so hard with breakups that happened with each of those prior 2 breakups was that, you know, like, one second they're your best friend and they're with you every day and everything, and then it's like you break up and you don't know that person anymore. They're no longer in your life, right? And I think I've always been terrified of that. And so we kind of processed that, you know, whatever. And then he said, so today in your life, like, you choose to be with Alex and Alex chooses to be with you. It's not out of a need of necessity, you know? And I would love to tell you that when Alex and I used to have some fights back in the day, horrible fights, that I didn't get on my knees and beg him to stay, and he didn't do the same thing, you know? And that we weren't so dependent on each other in really volatile situations that we were like, please stay, please don't leave. You know, I mean, like, it was not healthy. We don't do that today, you know? We have open communications, conversations with each other where we talk things out. And that doesn't mean that we always agree with each other, because you don't have to in a relationship, but it's about listening to what the other person has to say and validating their feelings and their emotions, you know, and also realizing that feelings are not facts. And when I say that, you know, I was talking to my best friend Tanya Jean about this the other day, because I think there's a lot of confusion about feelings aren't facts. And it took me a long time to really, I'm kind of rambling from one topic to the next, but it kind of took me a long time to really understand what that meant. You know, people in recovery a lot say feelings aren't facts, feelings aren't facts. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say if I'm really angry at how somebody treated me, okay? What I mean by that is that 3 years down the road, that anger might have subsided, you might have worked through it, you might have even made up with that person, and you might not be as angry as you were in that moment. Meaning that that feeling or that emotion is not a cemented fact that is going to stay a fact for the rest of your life. You're not going to feel that exact same way for the rest of your life. Therefore, do not make decisions or choices based on feelings or emotions in the moment, because you might regret it or wish you had said something or done something different down the road. I know I have. I know I have made very rash decisions or choices or said things or done things that I wish I hadn't down the road based on feelings or emotions, you know, that over time changed. And so, you know, I can remember that therapy session. It was so powerful to me, because what I really realized was that Alex and I were together and would remain together if we did, because we chose to be together. Not out of dependency from one another, not out of this need that I had to have him in my life or I couldn't move on. Because what I realized was, because my therapist opened this veil of Oz and showed me behind the fact that I would be okay down the road, you know, that there would be a moment in time, maybe 6 months, maybe 6 years, maybe 10 years down the road, whenever, that I would be okay, that I would be standing on my own 2 feet, and that I would be fine, and that I didn't need this person in my life, you know. When my mom, and so that, what that made me realize was, to this day, okay, you know, and we started marriage counseling, I don't know, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that, that very much, like, our relationship has just improved greatly, you know, and we're so thankful for each other and so grateful for each other, because what we realize is we choose for that person to be in our life today. And then also opened the door and making me realize that I choose for my friends to be in my life today, you know. I choose what family members I choose to spend time to, and what family members I choose to give quality time to, and whatever. And I'm very, and that kind of changed and pivoted my whole, like, opinion about where I spend my time. And, you know, if you've watched my other channels, you'll know I say this on there. Like, we really choose how we spend our time. Like, you know, if you look at the day, every day is 24 hours, you know, every hour is 60 minutes, every minute is 60 seconds. How you spend your life and who you spend your life, whether it's watching me on a YouTube video, or whether it's talking to somebody on the phone, or whether it's going out to dinner with somebody, whether you are enjoying that or not enjoying that, or whether you're doing it out of dedication or obligation, you're giving those people time of your life. You're giving them minutes, seconds, hours of your days of your life. You're handing that over. And when I realized that, and I realized I have the choice of who I spend my time with and who I want to be with and how I want to do things, it completely changed my life. Completely changed my life to the point where it was like, okay, I can spend a half an hour with somebody and have really great quality time with them. And that can be so powerful to me. And I'm not going to go and spend 3 hours with somebody that I don't want to spend my time with and not enjoy that anymore. That brings negativity and toxicity to my life. And I'm handing them moments of my life. It's not worth it. Life is way too short. So what I would suggest to you is take a look at your life. Write it down on paper. You know, when I talk about inventory, I'm just basically talking about getting a pad of paper out and a pen and writing stuff down, okay? Take an inventory like you're in a store. Take an inventory of your group of people in your life, whether it's your friends, your family, your coworkers, whoever, and say, am I giving the attention to the wrong people? Should I be giving more attention to my kids? Should I be giving more attention to this friend group, you know? I had friends that were begging to do things with me, and I was spending my time with people that were bringing so much negativity in my life that one day I looked and I thought, all these people over here really want to spend time with me, and I don't have time to spend with them because of all these people that are draining my energy. Why am I doing that? Get rid of those people. I don't want those people in my life anymore. It's not worth it. I'm giving them too much of my life, you know? And in my relationship, I had to really take a look at that too, you know? Am I going to stay in this relationship? Yes or no? We chose yes. We said we were going to give therapy a year, and at the end of the we're going to put everything into our relationship, and at the end of the year, I'm being like ruthfully honest in this video, but we had said we're going to give it a year. We're going to go to therapy for a year every week, and at the end of the year, we're going to give it our all, and if at the end of the year we decide to go our separate ways, we're going to go our separate ways. And if we're still together, we're still together. And, you know, it's been, like I said, like 6-8 years, something like that, since we started, and we're still together, and things are better than they ever could have been, right? But we had to work through some really tough times. And what I am so happy about today, what I'm so proud of, is that I realize that when my husband walks through the door, I choose for him to be there. He chooses to be there, right? We choose to be in each other's life. And that's a really powerful statement, you know? That's a really powerful statement to say that my best friend is my best friend because I choose her to be. She chooses to be my best friend, you know? The family that I choose to spend time with is because they choose to be there and I choose to be in their lives as well. It's not out of obligation, you know? I don't want to be somewhere that someone feels obligated to invite me or somebody, you know, doesn't really want to spend time with. I don't want that, you know? And I don't think people would want that in return if they really knew the truth. So I don't play those games anymore. And I give the people in my life, and I have a very, very small friend group, and I have a very, very small family. It's basically my cousin Caroline and her family, and my dad and my stepmom. That's it. Well, and my in-laws. But that's it, you know? And I'm okay with that because I would rather have people in my life today that I can choose to be there that are loyal and that really mean a lot to me and that I really care about than people that are just draining my energy and I feel like I have to have them because I don't know how I'm going to go on with my life if they're not in my life. That's literally no way to live. It's not worth it, you know? So I think this is a great meditation. I think it's really, really good. You know, I think the other thing that's talking about in there is, I'm not going to read the other meditation because this is going too long, but I think the other thing that's talking about in there is learning to value ourselves enough to realize that we can take care of ourselves, you know? In that moment that the therapist suggested to me, what would it be like if Alex were no longer in your life? Like, I can tell you the feeling that I was filled with immediately was fear. Like, immediately. I was like, oh my God, like, okay, if Alex isn't there anymore, it's just me and the dogs, or what if he takes one dog and I take another, and like, I just got scared immediately. I was like, I'd be all alone. I can't imagine that life, you know? And so it was very, very scary for me. But then what I realized was, you'd be okay. You've made it through worse things. You've made it through further loss. You've made it through other people having left your life and whatever. And some of them came back and some of them didn't, you know? You'd be okay. And I had to visualize that and realize, Peter, you are strong enough to stand on your own 2 feet. You don't depend on anybody. You don't need anybody, you know? Now, it's important for us to have support people around us to lean on. But when it becomes this necessity of needing somebody and this codependence of I can't live my life without them, then it becomes an unhealthy relationship. You know what I mean? Anyway, just my thoughts about all that from what I've experienced. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I hope you guys are having a really enjoyable weekend, and I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.